It is Monday, April 7th. It is Main Channel Monday, and it is time to get in the weeds. I'm Jeremy Lambert. That is SP3, and we have no shortage of topics to talk about here on this Main Channel Monday. We're coming off AEW Dynasty last night, coming off a big Smackdown where a lot of stuff happened. There's also Collision, which isn't super important after Dynasty last night. There was GCW. There was New Japan Sakura Genesis this weekend as well. We are just 1 week away from WrestleMania week. SP3 and I have gotten a combined, 6 hours of sleep, maybe. So we're both zombies here on this show today. But we're here. We're here to get in the weeds. SP3 is eating a Cinnabon. How you doing, SP3?
I'm doing much better now that I'm eating the Cinnabon. I needed food in my system to be able to talk about it, with a clear head, because I did do nearly 2 hours and 40 minutes with Alice Pulowski. We started the stream, the post show, the Sourgrass Pro show at 5:30 UK, which was 12:30 in the US where Alex was at, and yeah, we finished around just after 3 a.m. his time, 8 a.m. my time. Birds were chirping outside my window, like they were upset about the Dynasty finish just as much as we were. So I'm here. It's Main Channel Monday. I think this is my first time on In the Weeds on Main Channel Monday. So popping my Main Channel cherry when it comes to In the Weeds. I haven't been on the Main Channel since my days reviewing Ring of Honor, which banner night for Ring of Honor too. We got a lot to discuss.
Guys, we are on the Main Channel today. If you like this show, if you enjoy this show, it is live every single weekday, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern on Fightful Overbooked. That is FightfulOverbooked.com. Very simple URL to get to, FightfulOverbooked.com. Again, live every weekday, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern on that channel. But for one Monday a month, the first Monday of every single month, we're here on the Fightful Main Channel. If you will, leave a thumbs up on this video. That helps us out. That helps out the main channel. You can go over to Fightful Overbooked and subscribe to that channel. Subscribe to this channel if you've not already subscribed. I don't know why it's because I'm talking. There we go. All right. And to briefly pause to catch the WrestleMania sign on fire. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a thumbs up on the video. If you are here, leave a super chat. Get your question, comment, statement read on the air. Again, go over to FightfulOverbooked.com. You see the logo in the corner, way over in that corner over there. I can't point to any type of corner. It's way over there somewhere. It's by SP3. It's over there. There you go. SP3's got it. Thank you. You go to FightfulOverbooked.com. Subscribe to that channel. That helps us out. Makes us a little bit of money. Helps people like SP3. Helps people like Joel. Doesn't help me at all. Doesn't help me one bit. So you can do all of that. We got a lot of wrestling to talk about, but I know SP3 wants to talk about the Lakers destroying the Thunder. So go ahead. You won a regular season game.
I feel all the spirit coming back to me. I feel all the energy. I had finished my Cinnabon. I've drank some drink, and y'all telling me the Los Angeles Lakers beat not just the Thunder, not just a regular season win over the Thunder. The Jeremy Lambert had me convinced they wasn't going to play most of their starters. They wasn't going to play most of their stars. But then I look, I'm watching like in the third quarter when the game was pretty much over, and I'm like, hey, there's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Hey, there's Chet Holmgren. Hey, there's J-Dub. Oh man, they got their big three out here, and they're actually playing. And it does not matter. It was like 90-67 at that point.
It was a blowout. It was
smack them up. Smack them up. You got people on, you had FanDuel in the comment section for a whole bunch of my Laker main Twitter accounts being like, well, Lakers go to the NBA Finals. We went from losing to, the Chicago Bulls in the fashion that we did on a half-court shot from Josh Kitty Giddy. And then we turn around and we have 4 straight quality wins. Well, 4 out of 5 straight quality wins for my Los Angeles Lakers. Looking good down the stretch. If we can get one more victory over the Thunder, hopefully they don't play any of their starters for the next game.
No, I think they'll rest a few people, but I also think they'll play some people. So we'll see.
That's fair.
That's fair, but I was very pleased. I literally was going to come on this show just to do a run-in to troll Jeremy because we got that win yesterday. But I'm not going to go too long.
No, here's the thing: you're not trolling me though, because I was very pleased with that Lakers win as well. Because I watched the part of the Houston game against the Thunder. The Thunder are so disinterested. I'm not saying this is why they're losing or anything. They were very disinterested in the Houston game. Houston played great. They didn't look super interested in the Lakers game. The Lakers played great. All credit to them. I saw that line, Lakers plus 320. I was like, throw a little money on that one. And then the Lakers won. And I was like, thanks, Luka. Thanks for that 55% shooting from three. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate that money.
This slick guy over here, he got some pleasure out of the Thunder loss because he put, and you ain't even tell me. You ain't tell me, oh, you should put some money. See, you're supposed to be a friend. You're supposed to be a friend to me and say, hey, man, I don't think we're going to play well here. You should probably put that money down on this. Like, come on, man. We should both be very happy that we made some money.
I'm going to do the same thing on Tuesday because the Thunder just look a little disinterested. And look, it might come around in the playoffs. I've always said they could lose in the playoffs. I've never been we're going to run through everybody in the playoffs. Have not done that. Have not done that at all. We could lose. We could easily lose. But I tell the regular season is like, yeah, all right. Is what it is. We've had the 1 seed for 2 weeks now. What do we care about these games? Why are we going to give our full effort in these games? So
you're 15 games up, like we talked about the other day on In the Weed. So I totally understand where you're coming from. I just always advise, unless y'all won the championship before, y'all should never take your foot off the gas. Basically taking the games off despite still playing your starters. Just don't play your starters. If you feel like the team is disinterested, just don't play them. I'd rather that than play out there and be disinterested in what y'all doing.
I think they want to obviously like keep them in playing condition though. You can't rest the starters for 3 weeks because that's how unmeaningful these games have been. We've had the 1 seed for like 2 weeks now. So theoretically we could have rested, and we're going to get a week off between the final game of the regular season and the first playoff game because of the play-ins. True. So we already have that week off built in. So we're going to play the guys, keep them out there. We're not, as someone who's watched just about every Thunder game this season, you can tell when the defensive effort is lacking. You can tell when the offense is just, let's not show everything. Let's not do everything. Let's do some basic stuff, but let's not do everything. So, but also look, the Lakers played great. They were hitting everything from three. They went 15 of 21 from three in the first half. Yeah. That's an absurd shooting night. If they're going to shoot like that, nobody's beating them. Like nobody's beating them in the playoffs. Nobody's beating any team in the playoffs if they're going to shoot 15 of 21 from three. If anybody can do that, they're not losing in the playoffs. All right, we got
Luka Magic, ladies and gentlemen. You love
played great against the Thunder after playing terrible against the Warriors, and everybody was calling them out of shape, that's hilarious how everybody puts so much stock into like one game. It's like he looked bad against the Warriors, like, oh, he's out of shape. Look, he's clearly not ready. He went 0 for 8 from 3 and all this stuff, and then he has a great game against the Thunder. It's like, oh, the Lakers aren't scared of the Thunder. Luka is going to dominate the Thunder. LeBron's going to dominate. Austin Reeves is going to dominate. It's like, okay, y'all just lost to the Warriors. The Warriors just lost to the Rockets. The Rockets look like the best team right now, and they're the 2 seed. So.
Yeah, they're only 12.5 behind y'all. But we're now the 3 seed. I think we need 1 more or 2 more wins to seal up clinch our playoff spot. We're a game and a half ahead of the Nuggets now, so that's a good thing. Except I need the Warriors. I need the Warriors to win out to get to jump the Clippers, because the Clippers have shot up. The Grizzlies went down and the Clippers shot up in the past week. So I'm hoping that the Warriors can jump the Clippers, get to that fifth spot, so we can avoid the Warriors in the first round. I'd rather stay in Los Angeles I think that would help us a lot for the later rounds if we could stay in Los Angeles for a whole round of the playoffs. And the fact that like all this time where, Lakers, the past 25 so years, Lakers have had, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Paul Gasol, and the Clippers have had Chris Paul and Blake Griffin and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and and James Harden now and Russell Westbrook, but we have never gotten a Lakers Clippers playoff series. Can we just get it once? Like in a year that no one expected that it was going to happen. Can we at least get it once?
It's final week of the regular season. We will see how it all plays out. SP3 and I will be talking a lot more basketball in the coming weeks. We got a couple of super chats. Cyclops better than Wolverine says, "Can I get my donated money to not go to Joel?" Though I can try. I mean, technically, part of it goes to Joel, but part of it doesn't. We can just say that the money that goes to SP3 or Kylie or Collins is the money you donated. Cyclops better than Wolverine. That's how we'll look at it. All right. A lot of wrestling, as everyone knows. A lot of wrestling this past weekend, including last night. AEW Dynasty. Matthew Hookson super chat says, "Don't know how to feel about last night. Intrigued? ? You can feel intrigued if that is how you feel. I don't know if anybody is wrong with how they feel. I know a lot of people are upset. So AEW Dynasty last night ended with Jon Moxley retaining the AEW World Championship against Swerve Strickland when the lights went down in the city. And when they came back up, the Young Bucks had returned, delivering the EVP trigger to Swerve. Moxley gets the victory. The reign continues. The Bucks are backed. SP3, how did you feel when you saw this go down?
That's how I felt. I was just like, when the lights went out, I was just like, oh, man.
So
they had the perfect ending right there, like fingertips. I was like, they're on the 20, they're on the 10, they're on the 5, they're on the 1, and then the lights went out. And my team I was rooting for fumbles the ball. Someone tackles them right at the 1 yard line, and there's no time left, and the other team wins. That's how it was the equivalent of. I love the Young Bucks. I think the Young Bucks is one of the greatest tag teams of all time. They're on my Mount Rushmore of greatest tag teams of all time. And yes, I do think that this does make more sense, and it doesn't leave me with I think that the decision to pit Mox and Colt in the main event of Revolution was egregious. This is not egregious. This makes a lot of sense from if you think about this story with the Death Riders from the start and how the Young Bucks left. You can make sense of it. And in a way, I agree with what Matthew Hook said. It is intriguing in like, how are you going to explain this? How does this make sense? What is this leading to? I know most of us are thinking, oh, it's going to lead to Swerve and Hangman versus the Young Bucks, but you've literally done that, and you did it probably as good as it ever is going to be with Hangman and Kenny versus the Young Bucks back in 2020, and now it's 5 years later. I don't know if this is the right decision, and I think more people wanted Hangman versus Swerve for the AEW World Championship at All In Texas, and it's like you still have tens of thousands of tickets to sell for All In Texas. I don't understand how you don't realize that this crowd is not going to pay to see Jon Moxley as AEW World Champion. Like, you literally have to like beat it over the fans' head at this point that he is going to lose at All In to get people to come out. And I understand if this is not money generating heat. This is go away heat.
So a couple points. One, we'll get into Swerve and Hangman teaming because I'm not the biggest fan of that, and I've said as much in last week when they did the apology thing with or the admittance of I guess, guilt when it comes to Swerve. Ospreay seems pretty clearly being set up to win the Owen now. And so you're going to do Ospreay and Moxley at All In. Seems like, okay, we know Ospreay. We think Ospreay is going to win that match at All In. I do think the crowd will show up to see Jon Moxley lose to Will Ospreay. So I do think they have that. The Bucks returning and aligning with Moxley or helping Moxley against Swerve, it does make some sense. Because Swerve, when he was the champion, he was, trying to bully the Bucks when they were trying to call the shots. They put Christian against him as his first opponent. So there's history there with the Bucks and with Swerve. The Bucks can even explain it to Hangman of, we thought you didn't like this guy. We did this for you. We're trying to help you out. And I guess this is how you get Hangman and Swerve potentially together on things. Helping Moxley, the last time we saw the Bucks, they were basically running from Moxley. They said it got too chaotic. They were shredding documents. And then they went home, or they went to Japan for a cup of coffee. And now they are back. Guess who can explain it of Moxley has something over them? And
or they've been pulling the strings all along.
Yes. So there are ways to explain the Bucks and Moxley kind of partnership and also going after Swerve. I don't think this thing doesn't make sense. I will say that. I think people who are like, oh, this makes no sense. I disagree with that. I think it makes sense. I think they're going to explain it in a way that makes sense. You mentioned the go away heat portion of things. And I think this is where we as wrestling fans, because the curtain is so peeled back in 2025, we know that it is booking decisions, and it is not, and people kind of live and die with the booking decision aspect of it instead of almost appreciating the story of things, especially in the moment. When Roman beat Cody, it was, how could Vince do this? Vince, he ruined this moment right here. And it was less heat on Roman and more on just the company as a whole. And as the year went on, people kept riding with Cody. Roman kept getting heat. Obviously, they finished the story last year, and it was still a big moment. Kind of feels like we're there now with AEW, where we're less about the heat is on Jon Moxley, and it's more the heat is on AEW and Tony Khan, because we know these are his booking decisions. It's just a reality we live in. That's where we're at in 2025 with wrestling. I'll say I didn't mind the match last night. I know people didn't like the way it started off very slow, and it was just kind of a little... Moxley wanted to do the jiu-jitsu stuff, and then it was a little weird. You slam this dude in a glass, and it's like, okay, let's chain wrestle a little bit now to start this match. But I liked it as it was more of a heel versus babyface fight.
It was much better than the Colt match. I'll give it that.
Oh yeah, 100%. The problem with the match is it literally started 10 minutes before midnight. So we're already into a 4-hour card, and you're trying to do this match in front of this crowd. And it wasn't the right match in front of that crowd at that point of time.
After a 31-minute three-way matchup, they did back-to-back 30-minute matches. That is I've been critical of his card placement on these pay-per-views, but this was just dude, just put the three-way earlier in the card. Just have some separation between two 30-minute matches. Plus, you did 2 women's matches with 1 match in between. You could have had Tony Storm be the buffer between this, and people still would have been up for Tony, because Tony is one of the most over acts in the company, and that was a great matchup. So that would have been fine if you put that in between the 2 30-minute matches, and the crowd would have been up despite getting a 31-minute three-way matchup. But it was just dude, what? I was like, when it started 10 minutes before the before 5 a.m. for me, I'm like, all right, I'm on the edge of my bed. I'm like, all right, this should be like a good 20-minute matchup that pays off and Swerve wins and everybody's gonna be happy. And then just kept going and going and going. And I will say, like, the interference and everything and all the overbookedness, it does make like the nice little twists and turns of everything. I'm a child that grew up as a WCW fan, so I watched these NWO matches. I'm a huge, I think that New Japan Pro Wrestling, and once again they proved that on Saturday, is the best promotion of 2025. And I've watched House of Torture, and I did a review yesterday for Sakura Genesis, and Jay News was not high on the Suji versus Evil matchup, but I was like, I enjoyed it because the crowd was into it. The interference of House of Torture and them getting thwarted gets the crowd hyped up. It becomes very heated and stuff like that. And you got the same vibes towards the end here when Hangman comes out and he's trying to make the decision. But like, that is a much better finish. Is Hangman either accidentally or making the choice to help Swerve win the world title is a much better ending than what we got. I love the Young Bucks, like I said before, but it was just like you had the perfect ending right there, and you decided to say, no, we're going to Swerve everybody.
I don't know about Hangman making the choice to decide the championship match, because like I said on Thursday, I don't think Hangman is fully forgiven Swerve.
No.
I think he accepted what Swerve said, but there's still some hatred there. And I don't think that's why I didn't want him to make kind of a choice there. Like, I thought he might help fend off the Death Riders, because he now is like, all right, if Swerve wins the title, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world like I thought it was initially. But I also don't want him to win the world title. I'm not going to help him win the world title. If he does it on his own, fine. But I'm not going to help him. If other people want to try to, Death Riders are going to try to help Jon Moxley, all right, well, that's a little unfair. I'll try to prevent them the best I can, but I'm not going to outright help him win the title, and I'm also not going to outright cost him the championship. So I didn't need Hangman like making a choice there. I actually didn't mind that the Death Riders came down as Hangman was trying to make his choice. They prevented Hangman, and then you just keep the match going, and then Swerve potentially wins with the with the double stomp when it looked like he was going to win the title. And instead we had the lights down. By the way, Philadelphia, you knew Tony was going to do the lights down gimmick. ECW staple. Tony had to work that into the show somewhere, and he decided to do it in the main event. The overbooked stuff with the main event, I mean, that's what the Death Rider matches, the Jon Moxley matches have just become. Like, it just, that's the gimmick with them. We got to do all these interference spots, and it's feeling a little, you mentioned WCW. I'm going to go even not further back, but closer to today's period. It's feeling a little Jeff Jarrett TNA-ish. We got to do all these run-ins, and then I guess Moxley doesn't have a guitar, but we got to do all these run-ins, and then Jon Moxley retains. And much like the Jeff Jarrett stuff, it wasn't the best heat, because we knew Jarrett was booking the territory. So it got heat on him as a booker more than a wrestling character. This feels kind of the same, where it doesn't feel like we're getting heat on Jon Moxley, the character. It feels like we are getting heat on the company as a whole. I will say, I think people are being way over dramatic on like what it actually means for the company. I don't think this is, everyone likes to do, oh, it's dead. Like, how can they do this?
Yeah. Oh, the dying days of WCW is better than AEW. I saw some stupid shit, and I was just like, Nah, like that's why I put a simple tweet. I was in disbelief. I didn't know how to feel about the main event. I didn't know how to feel about the pay-per-view. But the decision making is what I was critical of after the main event, because it felt very stubborn on Tony Khan's part. And I said that to you on Friday when we were doing predictions. I was like, Tony Khan is he going to be a stubborn prick and continue on with this story that the fans have rejected and say that they didn't want? And like, I said it to earlier. I think I was exchanging messages with All Elite Geeks, and I was like, this dude saw the other company like give you the entryway to become an entity with Vince McMahon doing the same type of things where he was always stubborn. He always said, I'm right, the audience is wrong, I'm going to do what I need to do. So it's very frustrating to see someone who was a fan and lived through WWE in its dying days and made a company off the back of Vince McMahon being this stubborn, I'm right, the fans are wrong, I'm right, people I pay or to advise me on things are also wrong, because I know they're telling him this is probably not the right thing to do, and he's still doing it. And you made the point. It was very similar to how I felt about WrestleMania 39. That was a great moment for Cody to achieve, and it paid off for them in the end. And maybe, All In Texas is one of their highest attended events in the US. Maybe they sell out 40,000. Maybe that event is incredible to watch. Great. It does not take away from the fact that right now this feels very tone deaf. This just feels very la 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 la. I don't hear you. I don't hear you. I'm gonna do what I do. And you made the great comparison. Planet Jarrett. Or I saw somebody, I think it was Ibu, who said MMA Roman. I say it's MMA OTC. It's very bloodline coded. A lot of this is very bloodline coded. It's very NWO coded. It's very Jeff Jarrett and TNA coded. And it's just like, dude, the right story. You made all of this. Like, people want to say, oh, the fans are the ones who wanted Hangman and Swerve in the All In Texas main event. No, your ads, the angles that you did made fans think that that's gonna be the All In Texas main event. Because do you see the ad for All In Texas? Who's the last two faces we see? Hangman and Swerve. You do a whole angle with them backstage trying to get on the same page, and it's to set up them teaming together.
So that's where, people are like, let it play out, trust the process and everything, which I assume is a Philly thing. And how's that process working out for Philly fans?
Exactly.
But I think that's the thing that we kind of have to look at is many fan wanted Hangman Swerve in the main event of All In. Won it last year. They went to Danielson. You'll never hear me complain about Bryan Danielson in that match, but I also would not have complained about Hangman and Swerve because I recognize how big of a match that was. Looks like we might do it this year. Doesn't look like now we're going to do it this year. And instead of Hangman and Swerve, we're going to get Ospreay. Most likely, we're going to get Ospreay and Moxley with Hangman and Swerve potentially teaming. Is that better? Are fans going to be? I think fans will be satisfied with this, by the way. Like, I do think once we get to Moxley and Ospreay, that crowd's going to go crazy for Moxley, or for Ospreay. Sorry. The crowd's going to go crazy for Ospreay. So I think once we get there, everyone's going to be satisfied with Ospreay. But is it bigger than Hangman and Swerve? Is it bigger than even potentially Ospreay and Swerve if Ospreay had won it
would have helped out the Owen men's tournament by having, because we know it's going to come down to Ospreay and Hangman, and that's not a foregone conclusion that Hangman was going to win that. They could have done Ospreay versus Swerve again, because that was also one of the matches people thought we were going to get at All In last year. People either thought we were going to get Swerve versus Ospreay, Swerve versus Hangman, and the Bryan Danielson story is what he went with. And that was the right decision then. But I'm going to need some convincing that this is the right decision now.
Yeah. And I've said it I said it last week. I don't love Hangman and Swerve teaming. I think you can make it make sense. I think the Bucks trying to act like they were helping Hangman and they want to be back in Hangman's good graces. I think they can make it make sense. I just don't love it because my personal opinion, we saw these men try to kill each other less than a year ago. And now they're going to team less than a year later. And because Swerve admitted that he deserved his house to be burned down. Okay. I just don't love it. I'd rather them have more of a fight forever feud with everything. That's where I would like it to go. I understand you can't do fully fight forever, but I don't love them teaming less than a year after what they put each other through last year. That's all.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. Like I said, very stubborn on Tony Khan's part, and like his answer at the Postmania Scrum. I read that this morning, and I was just like, dude, this that was another one where I was just like, basically, you could have saved like 5 of these paragraphs and just been like, la 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 la. I don't hear you. I'm right. You're wrong. Fuck. I was like, what are you saying? Fuck. Why are you saying fuck me though? Why are you saying fuck me though? Like this is what we all wanted. We wanted, a lot of us, more people than not wanted this to just be over. And like Alex Pulaski put it best on the post show yesterday. He was like, there's no guarantee that it is going to be Ospreay, because Tony Khan could realistically say Ospreay wins the Owen and then the Death Riders take him out and he's replaced by Darby Allin. Like, he can just say, I'm gonna do what I want to do. Or he could say Ospreay loses at All In, and Darby, when he's finally back, finally healthy, is the one who's gonna end this Moxley feud, because that was my original plan.
I don't think he's gonna do all of that with the.
I'm not putting anything past this man anymore. I am not going to be like, oh no, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. I am not saying that anymore. This is hit Vince McMahon levels of stubbornness and love for something that all the fans are saying, no, this is not good.
We still have Double or Nothing before we get to All In. We know the Owens men final is at Double or Nothing. Assumption is it's Ospreay and Hangman in that final. Where Moxley, like who Moxley faces there, I don't know if you run back a match against Swerve. Look, maybe they run back Moxley and Swerve at this show and they do some type of gimmick match and Swerve wins and then Hangman wins the Owen, and we do get Hangman and Swerve. Maybe we're all freaking out a little too early, and Double or Nothing, more things will come into focus where you don't seem to be buying this SP3.
Because if you're gonna have Swerve just win the title, win the last night. Have a win last night, you fucking idiot. Just have a win last night. What the fuck are we doing? I feel like I felt at 7 a.m. yesterday morning talking about this shit with Alex Pulaski. I thought I was going delirious. He had to tell me that the birds were chirping outside my window because I just thought they were going off in my head. Like, what the fuck?
Maybe we get to Double or Nothing and things play out the way they play out, and maybe we get a satisfying conclusion at Double or Nothing, and we'll see. Still got a month. Zeno saying, let's predict an overbooked main event of Double or Nothing be Goldberg Spears for everyone. Oh, that would rule if Goldberg shows up. He just shuns WWE. He's like, my retirement match is actually going to be an AEW. He takes a shot at Bret Hart as well. He's like, you think everybody here is an actor? I'm here to show you real wrestling. out here.
Real graps over
Kicking
here.
heads off. That'd be
I'm joining
great.
the Death Riders with MMA OTC. I will acknowledge you, John Moxley.
Have they done in the past Moxley main events where they hold the briefcase up like it's a title? Have I just never noticed that? Because I noticed it last night. That was hilarious when they held that briefcase up. I was like, it really is just in the briefcase. Let's hold it up. That was so funny to me.
They have straps on the briefcase.
Yeah, that rolled too. And they had straps. You know what should happen? You know what should happen with this briefcase is whoever wins it wins it. Fine. I don't care who wins the title at this point. I hope it's the person you least want it to win the title. So let's say Swerve wins. Let's say Mox just retains it, and he finally decides, all right, I'm going to open up this briefcase, and he opens it up, but the title is replaced. I know Joel and I joked about like the title is split. No. The title's replaced now. And instead the title is in there. You know what's in there, SP3?
I'm vanilla, baby.
Ice cream cones. And Blake Christian comes out. And he is the first challenger for the AEW World title. You don't seem to agree with this idea, SP3.
I mean, at this point, I don't put anything past Tony Khan. I said it once. I'll say it again. I don't put anything past Tony Khan. I can see him doing that.
Or it's the double chunk chocolate chip cookies, and then Big Boom is the first challenger for the title. I'll approve of that one as well. Cyclops is better than Wolverine. Says maybe Tony should get out of the weeds if he's booking 2 deflating endings to 2 pay-per-views in a row. Why would he book this knowing people are gonna hate it? I mean, I would argue we've had 3 in a row. The World's End was the Darby car crash thing, which now, in hindsight, looks like what was the point of that? Because Darby looked like he killed himself in that more than anything, and then he got tossed downstairs.
No, that wasn't World's End.
Was that not World's End?
That was Full Gear.
Okay, that was Full Gear. What was World's End ending? Then?
Was Rated FTR coming out? And
yeah, that sucked too.
We've had four in a row. 4 in a row. Like, like Alice Pulaski said it best. Like, he was like, it took me longer than most to realize that something was wrong. I will give it up to my co-host on Thursdays, AE Ramble, Jimmy Macaram, because he said it like 3 weeks after Wrestle Dream. He was like, I think this is good. This is turned bad. I don't know. He literally called it earlier than anybody. He was like, I don't think this is working. I think this is turned bad. He was high on it just like me. When Moxley did the plastic bag spot at All Out, then the ending to Wrestle Dream, it was sad. It was a sad ending, but it was impactful. It was impactful because Moxley and how they set up Moxley as champion. He beat the greatest wrestler of all time, Bryan Danielson, clean. He's just a world beater. He was unstoppable, and he beat him clean. But then he needed Wheeler to beat Orange Cassidy. He needed Wheeler to low blow Jay White in the 4-way at World's End. He needed help from the Death Riders and the Patriarchy to beat Cope at Revolution. Choked out Cope in Australia before that. It should have been done with Cope. We didn't even get the Jay White singles matchup that they were teasing the whole time. They did a 4-month program with Cope. Then they give us Swerve at the end of Revolution, thinking like, yeah, we know the finish of the main event was deflating. It was sad for some of y'all, but hey, there's light at the end of the tunnel because there's Swerve. And then Swerve loses like this. And you had no time to do any type of post-match angle for this one. You just left us with this deflating feeling. Yes, the Bucks are back, but they got booed, got the biggest boos ever that they've probably ever gotten, even though they've been heels for over a year now. But man.
A lot of people were down on this, and I get it. I understand why they were down on it. Trust the process. Let it play out. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. Again, I think you can make this all make sense.
Yeah, and this, literally nothing I'm saying is saying that this doesn't make sense. It can make it. It already makes a lot of sense in my eyes, but.
And I also think this is where we as fans look at things and like, oh, we want to do this. And if they don't do this, it is disappointing or wrong. I don't think that is always the right reaction to have to things. But there is a point of swinging too far the other way and not delivering what the majority of your fan base wants. And I do think the majority of the fan base wanted Swerve Strickland to win last night, and then he did not. And now we don't know if or when he will win the title again.
And I think it's a bad time when the people I saw a lot of this on like Facebook and from my good friend Romeo Anthony Colon, when people who were also defending late 2010s Romeo, he was defending late 2010s Vince McMahon decisions, and then he's defending last night's decision. That's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. When those are the people that are defending it the hardest and the most, the pro WWE fans are defending this and being like, I respect Tony now. He stuck to his guns. Yeah, this is what he should have done. That's not a good sign. To me, that's not a good sign.
I do like that people are like, oh, I'm turning on AEW now. Stand up for WWE. Very funny.
Yo, people saying WWE. I'm team Nick Khan. I'm team Paul Levesque. I'm team Road Dogg.
I will talk about some WWE here. They had the greatest segment of all time in Friday night, in my opinion. So we will get to that here shortly. Also on AEW Dynasty, I guess there's a lot of news that came out of it, but sort of the other big news, the big title change. Bandito is now the face of ROH.
Just when I thought that was going to be the worst decision of the night, the most unnecessary Dusty finish of all time. Like, why can't Chris Jericho just lose? Why can't he just lose? You're going to lose. Is that why there was a delay to announce this matchup? Because Jericho wanted to win? And you had to talk him into, hey, calm down. We'll do a Dusty finish so you win, but then you lose and we give the fans what they want. They're going to be happy. Or is Jericho talking Tony Khan to be like, you know what? I think that we can get much more heat if I win first, do the Booker T, Triple H, wait 30 seconds, except I'm going to do 10 extra seconds, and it's going to take me 40 seconds to pin Bandito after a weak-looking bat shot, and I get the 1, 2, 3, and then his mom and sister tell the referee that my bat that I always bring to the ring is at ringside, and that's enough proof for the referee, not the referee in the matchup, for the referee outside the ring, who only came out because Brian Keith, who got murdered earlier in the night by Hurt Syndicate, limps down and has a brawl with the man that Pac forgot, or the man that forgot Pac, and they get in a fight, and then I speak fully, the referee speaks fluent Spanish and can understand my mom, Bandito's mom and sister, and they tell the referee that they can restart the matchup without any replay at all, and that's how we're gonna get to the 12 seconds for Bandito to beat me after Bandito's sister hits me as well.
I hate the let's do an interference spot and then somebody points out they cheated and then they restart the match. Why didn't they do that in the main event? Why didn't someone run down and be like, hey, you know, the lights went out. The Bucks came in. I guess the Bucks are EVPs and so they have power. But Tony's above them. Why wouldn't he reverse course here? Why wouldn't he come down and be like, no. Here's what happened. Kenny can come out. I don't know if he's an EVP anymore. That seems to be debatable at this point. But like, why doesn't everybody do this when someone cheats? Just come down and be like, they cheated. Restart the match.
Swerve's family was there. Swerve's family was there in Philly. They could have told the referee Paul Turner that they, oh man, it was like no other referees can come down, can save us from all of this. The ops and Death Riders were brawling outside just more than Brian Keith and Gravity, but you know, just let them brawl to the back.
I hate
just let the lights go out.
I hate that spot just because it's so inconsistent. It's like if you can do this in one match, just do it in all the matches. Like, why wouldn't other baby faces do this all the time when the heels cheat? Like, what do you mean? Bandito got the match restarted. Why can't we get the match restarted? It never makes sense.
The third longest match on this card as well.
It felt like it too. It felt every bit.
Every bit. I was like midway through, I was like, this is a lot better than I thought it would. And then they did that finish and I was like, oh, never mind.
I did cackle at the finish because I thought Jericho was winning. I was like, oh, that rules. That absolutely rules that Jericho's going to retain the title. They're going to run this back at Supercard.
Yep.
It's going to be a bat on a pole match. Very excited.
Oh my gosh. It's like why do we do these things? Why and this show was going very well. This show was going very well until that matchup, and that killed the crowd to the point that Adam Cole's first singles title run in AEW came off very flat because they couldn't get the crowd back because that match should have been earlier in the card, like the three-way that followed it, except the three-way has Kenny Omega, Ricochet, and Speedball having their version of AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels versus Samoa Joe, except they're all AJ Styles. And it was fantastic. One of the greatest three-ways I've ever seen in my life. But like, did that really need to go 31 minutes before you were going to do a 31-minute main event? Not really. Could have been even better three-way if you cut 5 minutes from that, and put it earlier in the card. But it's AEW.
Kenny Omega did retain the international title, and then Okada came out to confront him. They did not point to the All In sign, so I'm not sure if this match is happening at All In or not. Real big missed opportunity for Okada to just troll into it and just to pop himself. And then, mouth bitch, because you got to do that as well. It looks like that's what we're setting up.
Bitch.
Looks like that's what we're setting up with things, which makes a lot of sense. As you mentioned, the three-way was fantastic. I'm with you. Could have maybe cut 10 minutes off of it, and I didn't think it overstayed its welcome too much. Everyone knows my sweet spot is 12 to 18 minutes, so anything over that, I'm not gonna fully enjoy anyway. You cap yourself once you go past 18 minutes to a 3-star match, in my opinion. So this was a 3-star match.
Oh, you're being ridiculous. This was absolutely fantastic. I love so many spots in this fucking matchup. Speedball breaking his knees on the apron, being one of the best. Bad. Oh my god, that was one of the best spots. Him doing the crane kick though. Oh my god, as a Cobra Kai fan, that was for us. That was for me and you, Jeremy. That ruled because Ricochet did not watch the Cobra Kai finale. The reason why Johnny Lawrence lost in the first Karate Kid is because he went in. Let him come to you if he's gonna do the crane kick. What are you doing? You didn't learn why. That popped me so much. Just the three-way sequences with the near falls of Kenny's doing a backslide to Ricochet. I know Kenny's doing a backslide to Speedball. Speedball's trying to do a backslide to Kenny. So Ricochet rolls them both up at the same time. Then they're trying to do then Kenny's trying to do the backslide to Ricochet, and Speedball basically does a crucifix to both guys. And then Kenny does a backslide to both guys at the same time. Then both guys kick Kenny, and then they kick each other in the head. Awesome sequence. That was fucking spectacular. And the finish was the peak in the best part of the matchup, because it's Ricochet trying to do the vertical avalanche vertical to Speedball, and then Kenny comes up and does an avalanche one-wing angel, and Speedball's knee is so weak that he just goes backwards into the tree of war and can't break up the pin. He's just holding on to Ricochet's foot and can't do anything. That was so great. Like I said, I would have cut like 5 minutes off of it and just make it a little bit more cleaner. I think 25 minutes would have been absolutely superb, and maybe would have passed Kenny Omega and Gabe Kidd for my match of the year. That's still the peak of pro wrestling, and it happened on January 5th. But this was absolutely fantastic. It's in my top 4, top 5 matches of the year so far. I think it was an absolutely superb 3-way matchup, and one of the best 3-ways I've ever seen. I said it's on my Mount Rushmore now. I've added it to the Mount Rushmore in the past 8 months or 6 months. I've added 2 to my Mount Rushmore 3-ways. AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, and Samoa Joe Unbreakable 2005 is still the benchmark. And then the next 3 are kind of even with one another, of Triple Paul versus HBK versus Redacted from WrestleMania 20, Takeshita versus Will Ospreay versus Ricochet from Wrestle Dream 2024, and now this Speedball, Kenny, and Ricochet. Ricochet's been in 2 of the best, and Ricochet is such a great heel. Some of the moments in the matchup, like him going on commentary and talking shit, and just the picture that they have online of Speedball's foot coming in as he's talking shit. So great. It's so great. It's so great in so many ways. That was he did such a great job healing up. He didn't want to get involved in the early going. He was trying to pick his spots and stuff like that. Man, Ricochet was so great, and he was needed for this matchup. I think Speedball versus Kenny would have been fantastic. And Speedball, he showed the hell out. This is how you make a statement. And a lot of the new signings made statements at Dynasty. Speedball had one of his best performances, I think on par with his best performances in TNA and that I've seen on the indies. And he was just such a great baby face, and his selling of the knee was awesome. Like, he sold it at the right time. He got the adrenaline rushes and did the poison ranas at the right point, but then he would always go back because he killed his knees on the apron. Oh man, everybody in that matchup. Kenny Omega, he's the best bout machine for a reason. He's been in like the tag team matchup at Grand Slam, the Gabe Kidd matchup at Wrestle Dynasty, him and Takeshita at Revolution, and then this. He's had 4 of the best, like 4 top 10 matches so far this year. So Kenny Omega is proving once again why he's the best bout machine, and he's probably going to top all of that at All In with Okada. But it's what they're going to do in the in-between. Maybe they do Speedball at Double or Nothing. I don't know, but this was my match of the night, that 3-way international title match.
Very sad your Mount Rushmore does not include the 10th greatest WrestleMania match of all time, Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair.
Did that really get number 10?
Yeah.
Over Brett and Owen. I saw Brett and Owen at 11. That's outrageous.
Oh,
yeah, that's outrageous.
Yeah,
and they put Shawn and Kurt Angle at 22.
Yeah, it kind of rules. Got no choice but to respect their list. It rules how much they're just trolling with that thing. I love it. The match was fantastic, even though I only gave it 3 stars. And then we're setting up Omega and Okada for most likely All In. We'll see how Omega works into this Buck stuff and Okada works into this Buck stuff, because last we saw, the Bucks and Okada were aligned with each other. We know Kenny is a kind of sort of EVP. Like, does he have any type of say? in this stuff. The Bucks were trolling Kenny before he came back, along with Jack Perry. They were trolling Kenny before he returned. So you would think that he would factor into their return in some way. Like he should play into things in some way. So Tony Khan said, it's very intriguing. Tune in to Dynamite on Wednesday to watch it all play out. FTR turned babyface by stretching out Adam Copeland after they failed to capture the trios titles from the Death Riders. I thought this was a fantastic turn for FTR. Much needed after they've been heels aligned with Copeland. Cope can now be friends with Christian, two heel guys just doing heel things, and babyface FTR can just shake hands and kiss babies.
Love the matchup. The trios match was a very fun matchup. I think the best of the Death Riders trios title reign. But yeah, the post match was even better. I don't understand who Cash was trying to fool, because Cope was already knocked out. So why did he need to play like he was so concerned on Cope? I guess it was to turn on the fans, was to swerve the fans a little bit, I guess. But man, I thought that FTR, them as heels, is the best version of FTR. The fact that we got a 3-year babyface run out of FTR is a lot more than I ever expected from FTR, because they literally, when they were introduced in NXT back in 2013, 2014, I was like, man, these guys are just great heel tag team. I don't think they should ever be baby faces, because they just work as heels. And they had their big rise in 2016 when they tear it up with American Alpha and DIY, and they were incredible in that series. And then coming into AEW, they were kind of baby faces at the start, but they were really all heels all along, because they were going to do the match with the Young Bucks, and I thought they handled that well as well. And they have had tremendous matches with the Young Bucks, but them turning babyface in 2022, I did not expect it to be that good, and it was even better. It was splendid. They had the Briscoes rivalry and stuff like that, but they needed something interesting. I thought the build up to Rated FTR versus Death Riders was very well done, and I was calling for them to turn on Cope, because that's the thing that made the most sense. Don't separate FTR, have them both turn on Cope, and this was so well done. It was so well done. The Shatter Machine, the power driver by Dax, the spike power driver on the steel chair, and the fact that Cash was the one who did the concerto after saying how much Cope means to him, but he's like, nope, I'm riding with my boy. I'm riding with Dax, concerto. And yes, this is going to lead to now the patriarchy are going to turn on Christian, and then Christian and Cope are both going to be on their outs, and both have to be like, it's the person you know the longest who can help you get revenge on your former family and friends.
No, Christian should turn him down. He should tell him to go fuck himself again. Cope should just be lonely with no fans and no friends. That's how the story ends for him. That's where I'm at. Christian should now be with FTR. Christian,
the patriarchy.
Yeah. They should win the trios titles, and Christian should show, see, we were the family you needed the whole time. This is why I'm better than Cope, because I can lead you to glory, unlike Cope. And then Cope just cries, and we never see him again.
Petra FTR.
I don't like that. I don't know about that one. Cope gets Cardona and Myers. They're free, right? Cardona is.
Myers is not.
No, Myers is part of Impact. Sorry.
Cardona's going to be a part of TNA for Rebellion, but he's not signed.
Yeah. Whatever. Maybe he still gets him. Just do that instead. I don't want Christian and Cope. Christian should keep turning him down.
I thought Wheeler Yuta was awesome in the matchup as well, getting booed out the building. I was like, finally, Yuta's back to being the most over person in the Death Riders.
Yeah, but like, it looked like they were doing something with the Yuta and the Death Riders, and then they just like don't. He just sticks with them. It looked like maybe he was getting elevated out of all of this, and he just keeps obeying. It would be hilarious. What if Yuta's the wild card, and he wins the Owen, and he faces Jon Moxley, and this whole thing is a vehicle to it's the Batista Triple H story all over again. Yuta wins the Owen, and then they're doing the he's got a Mox is like, you're not gonna face me for the title, you're my young boy and everything. And then Yuta just goes. And that's how. And then he hits him with the knee. And then Bryan Danielson comes back and forgives Wheeler Yuta. He's like, this is the fire I always wanted to see. And then Danielson trains Yuta for the match against Jon Moxley at All In.
And kids, this is why you shouldn't do drugs when you haven't slept much.
I just hopped up on coffee. That's all it's in this mug.
Drugs. There's drugs in that cup, ladies and gentlemen. Don't listen to this man. No to all of that. No.
Why?
No to all of that.
I feel it's a great idea.
No to all of that. Like I said before, I thought the new signees really showed out on this show. Megan Bayne was awesome. Yeah, I literally felt like I booked that matchup with Toni Storm. I was like, she dominates. She looks like a beast. She no-sold the first hip attack. It took 3 hip attacks, then a Storm Zero for her to kick out at 1. I was like, let's go. And then she was going for face to set, small package, 1, 2, 3. I was like, perfect. That's exactly what it needed to be. Alex Pulaski was upset because he's like, why build up Megan Bayne for her to lose? And I was like, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. And yeah, they could have made Megan Bayne a new star, but they already have a main star. It's Toni Storm. So they should keep the title on Toni Storm. We don't take the title off of Stone Cold Steve Austin in 1998. Don't take the title off of Toni Storm in 2025. That's what I say. So I was right, and I'm happy. So here I am. And then Kevin Knight was fantastic in that opener. He was awesome. I love the story of the matchup is he's unstyles clashable. He had every reversal. He did the DDT onto the ramp after he went for the style clash the first time. He does the Dragon Rana when he does the style clash the second time. Then Ospreay finally hits the style clash and he kicks out. And then he has to hit him with the Os Cutter. He kicks out again. And then he's just like, okay, I'm going to take your head off. So yeah, Kevin Knight, Megan Bayne, and Speedwall are 3 of the big winners from last night for me. The new signings to AEW.
Adam Cole won the AEW TNT Championship in a move that I've been calling for weeks now that was going to happen, and they finally did it. And now Daniel Garcia will be off TV for 4 months, I assume, because I have no idea what happens with him next. I think Adam Cole deserved this moment. Match was fine. They worked very hard, and Cole still gets a big reaction. They got to do something with this TNT title. Like, it lives on Collision right now, which is, I'm fine with that. I'm not someone who's like, oh, Collision isn't important, and then they try to make it important and they act like it doesn't matter. You just got to do something more than they did with Garcia, who the Cole stuff was like an okay feud. The problem was, if Garcia was supposed to be this top baby face that it seemed like he could have been, I don't know about like top baby face, but like they clearly wanted him to be a good level baby face by doing the stuff with Jack Perry, who was hot coming out of all the stuff he was doing last year. And
not at the time he won the title though.
Yeah, I mean the Danielson match took him down a peg, but again they had
it was the TNT title run where he did nothing. He did nothing with the TNT title. Like, they need to stop having these TNT title reigns where the only feud they have is the guy they eventually lose the title to. That's back to back that they did that. Where Jack Perry didn't have any real feuds over the TNT title. He had a 2-week build to a AEW World Championship matchup with Bryan Danielson, but his one real feud of the entire reign was Daniel Garcia, who he eventually lost to. Then Daniel Garcia went right into the Continental Classic, where if you are following the Continental Classic formula, and the formula is do what the G1 does, G1 has champions in there all the time. And you know what they do with the losses that the champion does? It sets up programs afterwards. But he lost to Kyle Fletcher. Has he versed Kyle Fletcher since then? No. He lost to Shelton Benjamin. It looked like they were pushing that to be a title program after the Continental Classic. Did he verse him for the TNT Championship? No. The only person he lost to that he eventually did have a title match with was Mark Briscoe. When did he have that title match? A week after the pay-per-view that followed the Continental Classic. You are a horrible booker, Tony Khan. What are we doing? And then he eventually feuds with Adam Cole, and they're making all a big deal. Oh, this is the first time he's defending the title on pay-per-view. You booked it that way.
I maintain that this title reign was dead when Daniel Garcia was like, I don't want to face you, Mark Briscoe. I don't know if you've earned a title shot after you've pinned me in the Continental. Like, what do you mean he has not earned a title shot? What do you mean you're not going to face him when he has challenged you for this title? I don't know if that was, Garcia calling, like they were just told to go out there and, hey, we're going to riff. Briscoe's going to do the challenge. We're going to set this up. And Garcia felt that's what the moment needed, or if he was told to say that. Like, for a guy who just won the title, for a guy who wanted to stand up to the Death Riders, and a guy who wanted to take back AEW and restore the feeling and everything, to be like, I don't know, Mark Briscoe. I don't know if I should be facing you for this title. Nope, this thing's dead on arrival here. I got no interest in whatever you're doing with this title. And then, he just had matches to have matches. And until the Cole feud, there wasn't a whole lot of substance to them. And a babyface and babyface feud over this title, one of those babyfaces, when they're mid-card guys like this, ain't going to come off as strong as the other. And Daniel Garcia did not come off as strong as Adam Cole. That's why I think it was the right call to put the title on Adam Cole. But they didn't do Daniel Garcia any favors in building him up as a better babyface with the reign throughout.
And you said it perfectly beforehand. You're going to do a matchup after you did a 20-minute time limit, and you advertise the matchup as no time limit. It should at least go 20 minutes, even if it's 20 minutes and 1 second. This went 15:23.
Well, they knew each other.
You could have, but they could have just made it for a time limit. You didn't need to do it. No, it went 15:35. It went 15:35. You didn't even need it to be no time limit. It shouldn't have been that late in the card. It was wrong on so many different levels.
You know what spot is starting to annoy me? Is like when the dude is on their knees and they just fall over as Cole is running to set up the knee. I'm like, okay.
It's the law of diminishing returns. It's like if Kenny Omega does it, you should probably just let Kenny Omega do it. Because Kenny Omega, he makes the kick out at one work every single time. But everybody else, it feels like a law of diminishing returns. Somebody will get a big pop if it's a hot crowd, but then other people are doing it. It's just like, it's a law of diminishing returns. Unless it's in New Japan and they're doing it in like Ryogoku or Kurgan, all that doesn't always work. And the drop down to sell the beating that you've taken has only the best it's ever been is when Kenny did it for the Rainmaker in Okada versus Omega 2, and it's been a law of diminishing returns ever since then with everybody else that decides to do it.
Yeah, I feel like I see that spot like once a pay-per-view, and I'm like, okay, I get it. It's like the barricade spot in WWE. It's like, all right,
yeah,
let's go through the barricade again. Cool. We haven't done this in a week. Let's do that again. It's just a nitpick on my end, but not the biggest fan of it. Anything else from Dynasty? We had the Owen Hart Tournament. You talked a little bit about Kevin Knight, but Will Ospreay won that match. Kyle Fletcher advanced in the tournament, and Mercedes Moné advanced in the tournament as well. No big surprises here in who advanced.
I thought Briscoe and Fletcher once again, and all balls to the wall banger. I love Don Callis on commentary because he makes sense. He gives a story to like the mindset, the strategy of all his Don Callis family members, and him saying, "Oh, I told Kyle to start off the match with the dive, start it off fast because that's what Briscoe always does." That was like perfect. I was like, "Oh, that's all I needed. That's all I needed." I was fully invested into the matchup, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. I wasn't too high on Julia and Mercedes. The crowd got, a little bit against Mercedes when she slipped up on the arm drag. There were certain moments that it looked very clunky and sloppy, but sometimes fights can be like that. I thought the final 5 minutes kind of saved the matchup and it ended up being solid, but that was fine. And I think the only other one that we haven't mentioned is the Hurt Syndicate beating the Learning Tree. And I was not pissed off at anybody. I thought everybody played their role very well. Brian Keefe not getting any offense makes sense against the Hurt Syndicate. Big Bill being the dominant, they made him look good. But I was most pissed off at production, because how do you miss MJF interfering? Like, literally, you showed him showing up in the front row and then said, "No, we got to put the camera on Bobby Lashley right now." Like, what are we doing? Who's the executive producer? Who's it? Mansouri? This is you're gonna pay for your crimes, because this is ridiculous. Dynamite had so many of that shit too, with missing the Willow pound spot on Moxley through the table, and then this shit. Like, come on. You don't have to have production meetings with the athletes, with the wrestlers on the roster, but at least have production meetings with the cameraman. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
It was very funny where the announcers, like, I think it was MJF, like, pretty sure it was MJF, and then they had to go back and show it. Yeah, I don't know how they missed that one, but they did. They did. So Dynasty overall, I thought it was another good show. Long. I will always say, I don't care if you want to do these 4-hour pay-per-views, even though this one was 4.5 hours. That's a little long for me. But midnight on a Sunday, come on. Start these things earlier. They were in Philly too. They were on the East Coast. So I was really thinking like, oh, they'll get out of there because East Coast, it's not like it's 9:00 where they're at. So Tony feels the need to go long. No, still just too long on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But
overall, very, very good show in my eyes. I was very tired by the end of it, but Alex Pulowski and his energy kept me going.
Does
2.5 hours. Yeah, he don't slow down. That's why he's one of the best in the game. I love him. And he was sour. Like the last time I did an AEW pay-per-view with him, it was Full Gear, and he's a lot more positive when he talks about AEW, but he was at his sour most, because we did not agree on a lot of stuff. He did not like Fletcher and Briscoe. I loved Fletcher and Briscoe. He loved Mercedes and Julia. I wasn't too high on Mercedes and Julia, and I like that. I like when I don't agree with the person I'm here, and that's why me and Jeremy work out so well, because I don't agree with a lot of things Jeremy says. I love him, but I don't agree with a lot of things he says.
Everything I say is factual. Andrew Zarian says, I was so tired I passed out around 9. I missed all of it. So my lovely wife was staying up, and she fell asleep like just as Moxley and Swerve was going. Like that opening stretch for her, she was done. And then she wakes up near the end, and the lights go out, and the Bucks come back, and Swerve loses, and she just goes, I woke up for that shit. And then she went back to sleep. She wanted Swerve to win so bad. She was so mad when Moxley won that she had like managed to wake herself up for the end of the match. And then that's what happened. She's like, I'm going back to bed. I'm like, all right, I'll be in bed in an hour and a half after this press conference ends. So I feel like she had the reaction a lot of people had of like, I stayed up for that shit. Jeez,
It's like, you had me up till 5:30 in the morning with this show, and that was your ending. Thanks, Tony. A big fuck you to the fans. Bowens coming back on the pre-show. Love that presentation. Of Anthony Bowens was fantastic. I'm so happy for him as someone that watched him on the indies and was like, yo, that guy's a star. This felt like for the first time AEW said the same thing. He's a star. Let's present him as such. And our favorite, me and Jeremy, the Tuesday and Thursday crew, we've been high on the Max Caster bandwagon, and we're leading the charge because he was awesome in the setup. Ben Simmons jersey.
Ben Simmons jersey popped me.
The chant got over, and he still trolled the crowd. He's like, no, I don't like the cadence. I don't like the cadence. Let's go, Max. You're the best, Lester. You're not emphasizing the right parts. He's so great. He is so fucking great. Everyone needs to jump on the Max Caster bandwagon, please. Come on. There's room for everybody.
There's so many like great ways to troll Philadelphia when it comes to sports. I know they just won a Super Bowl, but they got the Sixers, and it's very easy to do the Sixers. He could have done like an Embiid jersey or a Paul George jersey.
Or James Harden jersey.
Oh, James Harden jersey would have been good. Yeah. But he could have done like Embiid or George and been like, see, this is what a winner looks like wearing this jersey. This is what somebody who has a championship looks like wearing this jersey. This is a healthy person wearing this jersey. Like, there's so many ways to troll Philly with the 76ers. I was all for the Ben Simmons trolling, but it was very good by Max Caster. And I have hopes for Bowens because he's good. I don't fully know about still being aligned with Billy Gunn. That feels like
the only bad part to this. Yeah, I like Alex Pulaski said the same thing, and I was like, you know what? I decided to ignore that. He's not there, right? Yeah, I didn't see anybody.
I love Billy Gunn as just it pops me that this dude's still out there and he's like a monster compared to everybody else in AEW. I pop for people like, yeah, sure, give Billy Gunn TV time. Let him beat all these people. It's hilarious to me. But objectively, I'm like, does Billy Gunn really need to be part of this presentation? Like, it feels like you're still just doing like acclaimed stuff. And we should move past that a little bit. So we'll see if Billy sticks with the presentation or not. But that was the one part I'm like, I don't know if Billy needs to be out there. You could just do Max or Anthony Bowens and it'll be okay.
Yeah, I would have much preferred that, but I just wanted to mention that I'm happy for my boy. If AEW gets behind him, he can be a star. I think he should be TNT champion before the end of the year.
That was AEW Dynasty. Again, a good show, very good show. Tune into Dynamite on Wednesday for the intrigue as the Young Bucks are back. All right, SP3, let's talk about the greatest segment of all time from WWE Smackdown. Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton go out there in front of the Chicago crowd for a live segment, and Wade Barrett's there, and he's like, no physicality. Tiffany's like, Chicago, what time is it? Tiffy time. That's power. And then Charlotte's like, oh, that's cute. And then Charlotte gets eaten up by this crowd. Tiffany mentions Ric Flair, like, you're always going to be second to your dad. And Charlotte's like, oh, is that the best you got? You're saying the same thing every opponent has said for the last decade. And then the crowd just starts booing and booing. And Charlotte just loses her place. And she just backs into the corner and smiles. And she's like, wow, Chicago.
What do you want me to say?
Yeah, what do you want me to say? This is fun. This is really fun. Like, what are you doing? What is happening here? And then Tiffany again mentions the power line. And Tiffany says, at 25, I'm walking into WrestleMania as the champion. At 25, you were in your daddy. The Minnesota came out. Your daddy's basement.
Your daddy's basement, crying about your failed volleyball career.
You were in your daddy's basement drinking. Oh, so good. So good. And then she's like, no matter what, you can't win the people over. 1 week you're confident, and then you're crying on a talk show. Which one is it? And Charlotte is so rattled at this point. She does I can't hear you. It's very squeaky in here. What were you saying, Tiffy? I was like, what is happening? What are you doing?
Because Tiffany fumbled over her line, and then she was like, "Okay, I gotta weigh in. I gotta weigh in. Let me take." It was like a boxer. It was like Martin in that episode when he's fighting Tommy Hearns, and he's like,
"Oh man!" And then Tiffany hits your WrestleMania record is 4-3, but you got to share the spotlight. And after WrestleMania, no matter what happens, you're going to be just like you are in real life, alone. What's your record? 0-3. And she's backing up as she says this. And Charlotte's going. Yeah, she goes, woo! And then and Charlotte's going forward. And Charlotte says, is that why Kaiser's in my DMs? Oh, man. This was so good. I loved everything about this because you just don't get train wreck wrestling like this every single week.
Not on the biggest stage possible. Not in WWE.
Yeah.
And the fact that in this decade of the 2020s, literally every freaking shoot moment can be traced back to Charlotte Flair. It feels like.
Oh yeah, that's why
every shoot moment in the 2020s can take. Because I was like, man, when was the last time that we had a shoot segment like this? And I was like, oh yeah, it was Charlotte with the belt drop.
Yeah.
Oh no, that came actually before. Or no, I think it was before or after the Nia Jax matchup. Yes. And then, and then we had 2 of these instances in the same feud, where she went off script with the sit down interview, and then she did this.
This is why Charlotte rules. This is why Charlotte does not get the credit. She is old school worker bullshit with this. She's chaotic in these segments, and that's missing from a lot of wrestling. Like the Cody and Cena segment for Monday was fantastic. We sat here and praised the hell out of it on Tuesday. But it was also, you knew what they were doing with that. Yeah. They went back and forth and they took their shots, and it was very good. But it was also it felt, I won't say rehearsed, but it felt like, they were going off the script they were given. Yeah, they delivered everything fantastically. But the chaoticness, especially in WWE, is just something you don't see all the time. No. That's what I loved about Cody and AEW. You didn't always know what you were going to get with Cody and AEW. It was very chaotic in some of those segments. Punk felt the same way in AEW. It could be very chaotic, and you didn't know. He could go out there and call out Hangman Page and sit in the middle of the ring and call him coward shit. It's like, what? Hold on, where did this come from? It's like, the chaoticness of wrestling you just don't see every day. And Charlotte Flair brings it. And this absolutely ruled in my mind. I don't care if it was good or bad. I'll say it wasn't great.
It wasn't good. It wasn't good. Don't say it. It was so bad, but it was so thoroughly entertaining. It's like watching it. It was like watching a train wreck. It was like watching a car crash. It was car crash TV at its finest. So I would go as far as to say this was the best 3-hour episode of SmackDown, because this is not like over the last 3 weeks I've been able to watch SmackDown at 8 p.m. Over here in the UK, which is very convenient because I can do what I got to do to prepare for the flagship podcast on True Heat the next day at 11 when the show is done. I got an hour or two before I can go to sleep at midnight or 1 a.m. and get a good night's sleep before the flagship. No, this week we're back in the US, so the show started at 1 a.m. So literally I went in and I was like, you know what? I'm probably going to go to sleep around 2:30 a.m. because that's when SmackDown really drags with this 3-hour format. And they put that shit at the top of that second hour, and I could not go to sleep afterwards. I was talking to Jimmy Macaram. I had to deal with number one Charlotte Flair fan Romeo telling me how good it was, despite him not watching. He was not watching because Friday was his birthday and he was out drinking, but he took the time to answer us and be like, no, that sounds great. All of this sounds great. Did you? And then he sees a clip as he's probably like out in a bar somewhere with music playing, and he's like, oh yeah, did you hear the pop when she said the Kaiser line? I was like, no. He was like, fix your ears. I was like, what? I was like, I've never seen someone. I was like, you Charlotte Flair fans are Delulu. You Charlotte Flair fans are Delulu. You did not see the same thing that I saw. You did not watch the same thing that I saw. That's why I put it out there. I was like, this is one of the most cringe-worthy segments I think I've seen for a WrestleMania build. This is one of the most cringe-worthy WrestleMania builds I've ever seen. And I lived through Booker T and Triple H. And like, I literally, through 2 weeks ago after the sit-down interview, I went to Alex McCarthy and Sadie Nyangi, and I was like, this is probably one of the worst builds to a WrestleMania world title match I think I've ever seen. And Alex McCarthy was like, nah, there's Booker T and Triple H. I was like, you know what? You're right. They're second. Now it's clear. This is worse. This is worse. This is worse because like Triple H and Booker T, yeah, it wound up horrible. But the build up, they gave Booker T his moments where he got the comeuppance, and Tiffany got her moment here, but it was because she went off script to follow Charlotte's lead. This is a train wreck where we don't know. Like the whole solace that I had throughout this horrible build was when the bell rings on April 19th, April 20th, it's gonna be good, it's gonna be great. Now I don't know.
They're gonna throw hands and it's gonna roll. I hope they don't do the fake throw hands, because after the Nia and Charlotte real throwing hands, they tried to like run it back the next week and they tried to do the fake stuff, and it's like, oh haha, see, we're still fighting, and it's like, nah, y'all clearly are just like play fighting now, and it didn't look quite as good. Nah, I need them to really throw. I give Tiffany a lot of credit because I said for weeks when they do a promo segment, I said Charlotte was gonna step all over her, and I don't know if Tiffany's gonna fight back. And then we saw the split screen and Charlotte stepped all over her and Tiffany did not fight back. I was like, yeah, that's
and then
what
after that one, you said the only thing she can say is talk about the real life stuff, but Charlotte's not gonna let that
yeah.
slide. And apparently she said nope. We both
I don't know if Charlotte didn't let it slide or not, but Tiffany didn't give a fuck.
She didn't give a fuck. I respect it. This was the best segment of this entire feud, though. I will give them that.
Tiffany did it at the right time, because if Charlotte doesn't go on Sherry Shepherd and like open up about this stuff, I don't know if Tiffany actually brings it up. But because Charlotte was on TV talking about it that week, it feels like Tiffany maybe felt in her mind was like, okay, you mentioned it. You said it. Yep. You kind of opened the door. I don't feel like it's off. It's out of play right now.
Yeah.
So Charlotte, by doing that appearance, feels like it put that seed in Tiffany's head of like, all right, I can do it. If Charlotte doesn't make that appearance, maybe Tiffany's like, oh, okay, maybe that's a little too much. But she did it. Again, credit to Tiffany. Whether she just stepped up, whether someone said, look, you got to fight back. You can't go out there looking like a chump. Then he's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to fight back on this. And look, as good as Tiffany was, the Chicago crowd deserves a lot of credit because they rattled Charlotte. You don't see.
I've never seen somebody with like over a decade of experience react to a crowd booing them like that.
Right. It was just boos. Like, it's not like it was anything egregious. Like, they were loud, sure. But Dominic Mysterio gets the same boos every single week. Like, this is nothing out of the ordinary here. And it rattled her completely. And it's not like Charlotte hasn't been booed in her career. Like, that's the majority of her career. She's the heel in this scenario. She should expect to be booed. And she was completely off kilter after this. I could not believe how badly she was off kilter when she was like, this is fun. Like, are you going to let me speak? Like, what? Huh? Just wait it out, smile, and then go press forward or play back at him and just be like, They were talking about the power stuff. Like, see, Tiffany, I don't have to say anything, and these people hate me. This is what you're up against. Like, this is not about you. This is always about me. It's forever going to be about me. You can be generic blonde number 3. I'm going to get this reaction regardless. You say Tiffy time. What do you have beyond that? When Tiffy time runs out, are they still going to react to you like they do to me? Something like that. I came off with that at the top of my head. Charlotte Flair can't do this after a decade plus in the business.
No.
I couldn't believe how rattled she was. Couldn't believe it. But it made the segment so much better. It ruled. Oh, it absolutely ruled. Drinking in your daddy's basement.
The Minnesota of it all coming out was so, oh man, that was a beautiful disaster. What a beautiful disaster it was. And we've had reports from Dave Meltzer and Fightful Select, and WrestleVolt came out immediately after the segment and said that that Tiffy and Charlotte went off script, said that they were a bit off from what they had on the rundown, and the backstage reaction was basically like, I believe Fightful said about the backstage reaction that a lot of people said that it was off script, and there was a lot of oofing and oohs and ahs to a lot of the lines in this one. And a lot of people felt like this is what Tiffy had to do because Charlotte can go off script, so you have to be able to handle yourself, and sometimes you got to go off script as well. And Tiffy handled the crowd as well as going off script a lot better than Charlotte did here.
I don't know who was supposed to win at WrestleMania. After this, Charlotte's like, I'm going to
win then. Yeah, I'm going over, brother.
She can't be saying this shit, and then I'm losing afterwards.
This was like Shawn Michaels' Sunny Days promo without any of the charm.
Oh man, I respect it so much. I respect Tiffany so much for this segment. Absolutely ruled. So good. I've watched it so many times. Nothing else happened on SmackDown. Who could possibly care about the rest of SmackDown?
I sent it to my missus, and she was just like, awful. This is awful. She was like, what is the state of women's wrestling in WWE right now? Because she watched Monday Night Raw, and she only watched a little bit, like the beginning half, the sloppy half of Rio and Rhea and Io Sky, and she turned it off. She was like, I don't like it. It was like there was too much sloppiness there. And then the next thing she sees is that promo. She was like, what is the state of women's wrestling in WWE right now?
A couple of notes from Fightful Select since SP3 brought it up. The report says at least one source close to Stratton claimed that Charlotte went off script first, then Stratton fought back. The claim was that rolling out of the ring after dropping the marriage line was to try to avoid the situation escalating. The belief was that this situation has been boiling over for a while. Yeah, she definitely was trying to avoid it from escalating because Charlotte was ready to throw at that point.
And she stepped forward. She was going to swing. He was going to swing.
Wade Barrett was not going to be enough in that situation to hold her back because Charlotte was ready to throw some hands on there. And Tiffany knew it because she was backing up immediately when she started the woo. She's like, woo, let me get out of here.
Woo, let me get out of here. Save face here. Man. And like I said, I thought it was a great episode of SmackDown. I thought Phoenix's debut was good. I thought Nathan Frazier did well in his spot. I don't know if he was the right opponent for Phoenix. That might be a hot take. I don't know. But I think that anytime you have someone who is faster and does as much cool shit at the guy you're debuting, I don't know if he's the right one. And he's also debuting. I don't know if that's the right choice. I think that we were on the money with a couple of our guesses when we were like, Apollo Crews, someone like that, someone who could have been a base for Phoenix and Phoenix can look better than. I think that would have been the right one. But can't deny it was a very fun matchup. And Nathan Frazier is one of the best in NXT. He was going 100 miles an hour, and that kind of slipped him up early on with the when he tripped on the suicide dive and stuff like that. But they recovered very nicely and had one of the better matches on the show. The best match on the show was Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman. I said it on Twitter. I will say it here. Braun Strowman in last man standing matches equals Klay Thompson in Game 6. It's the same difference. They could be off. They could be off in Game 4. They could be off in Game 5. But you put them in game. You put Klay in Game 6. He's gonna deliver. You could put Braun in a singles match, a tag team match, and he might be off. He might be slow. But you put him in a last man standing match. He steps the hell up. He steps the hell up. And he did his thing in this last man standing matchup. Jacob Fatu is facing LA Knight at for the US title at WrestleMania. And the main event segment with CM Punk revealing the favor, it was basically what a lot of us thought it would be. I think that these that it was it was a right delivery. The fact that you can call back to it from a promo in 2013, but it really dates back to 2006 when Heyman left, and he says that when I left, I told you when you are where you need to be, they make them deal with us. And Punk turning that around and saying they're not here anymore, so you got to deal with us, and I'm gonna have Paul Heyman in my corner at WrestleMania so I could see how well you do without your wise man. I thought that ending segment was great. It's probably topped the contract signing, which was a lot of singing and posturing, and the special moment with Heyman and Punk. I think it was the best segment this triple threat has had. But I also agree with Jimmy Macaram, who messaged me before I saw the segment, because I went to sleep right before the final segment and then woke up and watched it, and I really enjoyed it. But Jimmy Macaram put it perfectly. He was like, I don't think Seth is needed here. He said, I think you could do this. He said, I think you could do the same story with a one-on-one match with Punk and Roman.
Yeah, Seth it was funny how he just was out there and just like laughing the entire time. Like, I popped for that, but he does feel very third wheel in all of this. And I'm not the biggest fan of this whole story just revolving around like Paul Heyman and like, oh, whose corner is Paul Heyman in? It feels like there should be a little bit more to it than that. I know there's the history. I know there's the relationships. They're doing a good job explaining all of this. It's kind of like the bracelet stuff with McIntyre and Punk last year. It makes sense. Like, I don't think that story didn't make sense of what the bracelet represented, why they were fighting over it, and all of that stuff. It's like, it's over a bracelet. It's over Paul Heyman. I wish there was a little bit more of the personal heat between Roman and Punk that we know is there from their years of history. And instead, it's too much about Paul Heyman. Bless Paul Heyman, the greatest worker of all time, still being in these spots decades later. He's a master at this. I'm just not fully sold on, all right, cool, Paul Heyman is in your corner. Why does that make a difference to me watching this?
I want Roman. I think Roman, we got 2 more SmackDowns for them to do it, but I think Roman does need to say that kind of the elephant in the room between him and Punk. Like, you didn't want me to be here. Like, you came out a couple of weeks ago and said you brought me in, but you also tried to keep me down when you left this company. Seth is all upset that you tore down the company, but who was the guy that you tore down the most? Who was the guy that you said this company was more behind than you? It was me, and you tried to stop me from getting to the place that I'm at. Now you're trying to stop me from being where I want to be with Paul Heyman in the main event of WrestleMania. You're trying to stop that, and you're trying to take Paul Heyman for yourself, and I'm not going to allow it. I'm going to beat you at WrestleMania. Stuff like that. I think that it would add more depth and add the personal rivalry between Punk and Roman instead of it just being about Paul Heyman and who he's going to be aligned with. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed SmackDown overall. The saddest part was, of course, Kevin Owens revealing that he is going to be out of WrestleMania, that he's been dealing with neck issues for the past couple of months, and it was revealed that he is going to get surgery and he is going to be out for a while. He says he doesn't know how long he's going to be out for, but it was a very emotional scene. We kind of touched on it when the report came out on Friday on PWN, but we got the confirmation on the show. And they also, Robbie Fox did an excellent interview with Kevin Owens that dropped on Saturday, giving his kind of like background. He said the injury occurred in a matchup in January, and he just got, a notice that it was something very serious that he needed to take time off for and get surgery. So hoping for the best for Kevin Owens, because this was a real heartbreaker for the WrestleMania build, which out of all, and we said it on Friday, out of all the builds, this has been the one that had the least amount of issues, that it's been very straight and narrow. It's kind of been building and was going to culminate in a great matchup probably at WrestleMania between Orton and Kevin Owens. So it's a heartbreaking one for the story. It's a heartbreaking one for Randy, but it's most heartbreaking for Kevin Owens, who has been doing outstanding work. His character work since turning heel last October has been tremendous. His rivalry with Cody was great and really helped put Cody's title reign back into the forefront for a while. His whole small program with Sami Zayn and the WWE match of the year so far that they had at the unsanctioned match at Elimination Chamber was absolutely tremendous. So I'm hoping for the best for Kevin Owens and hoping we see him back in the ring sooner rather than later, but we know it's going to be a while.
They're going to miss a ton with Kevin Owens out, because he always elevated everything that he was in. I mean, over the past year, look at the work that he did, whether it was with Cody, Randy, Sammy, the Bloodline stuff, like everything he was in felt elevated. One, because he was such a good promo. Two, because he was so believable with everything. Three, because he tied up just so many loose ends with everything. Like if you thought there was a plot hole, Kevin was the guy to explain why it actually made sense. His work obviously speaks for itself in the ring as well. So they're gonna miss a ton when it comes to Kevin. Best wishes to him. Neck surgery is no joke. When he did the interview with Robbie Fox, he mentioned could be 6, 7, 8 months up to a year, but he sounded optimistic about getting back in the ring, which is good. Obviously you never know, but it does sound good that he feels optimistic about getting back in the ring, and hopefully that is the case. And hopefully we do see Kevin back in the ring at some point. He mentioned that it happened in January. He had 2 matches in January against Jimmy Uso and Rey Mysterio. And then he went on to have the ladder match against Cody at Royal Rumble and the unsanctioned match against Sammy at Elimination Chamber. And it wasn't those matches that did it. I'm sure they didn't help after getting jarred around, but it wasn't those matches. It was something in January that did it for him. So it's unfortunate. I mean, Kevin is so good at everything he does, and you can throw him in anything. And like you're saying, like he elevates it. There's so much for him to do. He was going to do the Randy program. Coming off of that, win or lose, you could put him with anybody. You could put him in there with Priest after the McIntyre stuff, and it would have felt like a big deal. You could have put him in there with McIntyre. You could have elevated.
I thought he would have been an excellent challenger for Jey Uso after he wins the World Heavyweight Championship with their history.
You can put him anywhere, and he was going to elevate what happens. So it's unfortunate that Kevin will be sidelined for the foreseeable future, and best wishes to him as he heals up with the neck injury, and hopefully we do see him back in the ring at some point.
Please, he's one of the best, one of my favorites in WWE. So wishing him the best, because it's going to be a long recovery journey. So hoping for him. We love you, Kevin. Yeah. Thank you for everything.
Yes. Bargov was saying, didn't he say it was a house show in January? I don't think so. He only wrestled 2 matches in January. I just referenced them. So
he has. I looked it up on Saturday as well. It was only the 2 TV matches, like you said, Rey Mysterio and Jimmy Uso.
Yeah, so he doesn't have a house show on record, unless he did something at a house show, like he just did like an extra angle at a house show and it happened there. But the way it seemed, he made it seem like it was a match, and those were the only 2 matches he wrestled. I'm really glad Kevin's gotten like 2 WrestleMania main events under his belt as well, especially the Austin one, which was a huge deal and still is. So
both of them, he got the main event the next year with his best friend against the Usos in like a year-long angle. So both of his are meaningful WrestleMania night one main event. So I'm happy for him that he got those, and he's been such an important part of WrestleMania, regardless of where he's at on the card. Even last year, he had a great match with Logan Paul and Randy Orton in the triple threat for the U.S. Championship. Before WrestleMania 38, him and Sammy finally got to go one-on-one at WrestleMania. Him and Seth Rollins in the pandemic had one of the more memorable matches of that pandemic WrestleMania. So, man, it just sucks.
And I know he's really looking forward to facing Randy at WrestleMania too, because he mentioned it last year. Like, oh, the other idiot being Logan Paul was in the match. You know, he's got so much respect for Randy, and like they're, to peel back the curtain, they are friends, even though they have this hatred on the screen. But you know, he was really looking forward to doing a one-on-one match with Randy, and so to not be able to pull that off, to not be able to do it because of the injury is just unfortunate. Because it was a match he was really looking forward to. So best wishes to Kevin and his recovery. I hear the kid outside the door.
Yeah. I was like, damn, how loud are you?
All right, we got WWE Raw tonight, back at 8:00, back from the UK tour. They're going to be in Minneapolis. Tiffany should just come out and just start shooting on Charlotte Flair.
Like, did you see my my interview on SmackDown?
Just start shooting on Charlotte Flair. The rule. Tiffany is not currently scheduled for this show, but it is a pretty loaded lineup. Adam Pearce is going to address the women's world title situation with Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair. We all assume it's a triple threat match. It should not be. Pearce should
wonder what that's gonna be.
Pearce should be like, kick rocks, Rhea. Like, you lost. Don't hit the referee. You lost the title a few weeks ago. Sorry about you. Move forward with your life.
Sorry about your damn luck.
Go find a tag team partner. You could compete in the tag team turmoil on Friday. Go get yourself a partner. Who's back there that could team with Rhea? What's Dakota doing? I know maybe it doesn't fully explain of why Damage Control would link up with you, but go get Dakota. What's Zelina doing? I think Zelina's actually teaming with somebody. She's teaming with Michin. Sorry.
And Nikki Cross is not doing anything. You guys
go get Nikki.
Together. Yeah. There you go.
Go get Nikki. Maybe Rhea just enters on her own and wins, and then we get Raquel and Liv against Rhea at WrestleMania for the women's tag team titles. Because we need that match. We need more Liv and Rhea. Nikki Ash would actually be hilarious if she goes backstage.
Split personality.
Yeah.
Nikki Cross.
Yeah, that would actually rule. I'd actually pop for that if that's what happens.
We got New Day versus Viking Raiders for the World Tag Team Championships. I thought this would be a WrestleMania matchup.
Yeah. They got to put these titles on New Day. But I don't know if they will. They might just do a DQ finish, and then New Day gets the WrestleMania match out of this.
Could see that. Then we got Penta versus Dominic Mysterio one-on-one. So we'll see how that sets up. Yeah, Penta should win after losing last week. So we'll see if that sets up the four-way for the Intercontinental Championship. Punk and Paul Heyman will be in the building after the close of Friday Night SmackDown. Seth Rollins will be in the building as well. So we'll probably see those three guys interact on the show. And El Grande Americano will be in action in not his hometown of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Yeah. Yep. And Lyra Valkyria against Bayley for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And then they're going to team on Friday in the tag team turmoil.
I wonder what's going to happen here.
Do you think
maybe we get Lyra to win and then Liv and Raquel come out afterwards? So at least we'll get the good matchup between these two ladies, because they had a good match in the Chamber qualifier. But yeah, I just think that Liv and Raquel are gonna come out and interfere.
Do you think like Lyra and Bailey, they, the bell rings and then Lyra's like, we're going to be teaming on Friday. We can't fight each other. And Bailey's like, you're right. We got to be on the same page. And they just like shake hands. And that's
No,
the
they hug.
match.
He's a hugger.
Well, they
always
shake
hug.
hands. It's good. They shake hands and then like they break and then they look at each other and then they open up their arms for the big hug. You got to tease it a little bit.
Oh, okay. That's right. That's true.
So, and then they hug and then they're on the same page for SmackDown. It's like, we got a team. And that's that. That's the whole match. It's a handshake and a hug. And we move forward.
And then when I saw those teams, I was like, yeah, Bailey and Lyra's going to win this, right? Because they're the only one that makes sense.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if they're going to win. I don't know who's going to win that thing. Because Liv and Raquel, I guess they're feuding with Bailey and Lyra a little bit. But they're also, like, not feuding with anybody. They're just kind of chilling.
Maybe Alexa and Nikki join it as like a mystery tag team.
That would be interesting. Okay, I'm all for that. I can see that. I don't know if it fully like that's the payoff is they just reunite for this tag team turmoil match. I don't know about that, but look, maybe Nikki comes out solo and then they do the spooky gimmick and then Alexa shows up and then that's how they reunite. I don't think it'd make a ton of sense. Just Alexa Bliss's music hits, and here they both come down the ring, like, oh, all right, sure, they're just together. So, I get okay. I'm sold on something like that. I'm sold on something like that happening. And Nia Jax and Candice, they're not there for some reason. Nia says she's not hurt, but it doesn't fully explain why she wouldn't be in this tag team turmoil match. But I guess we'll see.
A lot of big stars and they're gonna miss WrestleMania this year. It seems like
they'll be on WrestleMania Smackdown. They'll do a double battle royal.
Consolation prize SmackDown. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a pretty decent episode of Monday Night Raw tonight. I think we got time to talk about one more thing, and we could talk about
I'm Vanilla Baby.
It's like he knew what I was gonna say. Like he knew I was gonna set something up, and he was just going to the trigger. It's like you had it ready. I got nothing to say. I was gonna bring up Homie Hop and Sonata, but now you just totally killed it for me.
I thought you were gonna bring up Shota Umino is gonna win the world title.
Oh God! Why are you doing this to me? Why are you doing this to me? After I had to deal with the pain. I had to deal with the whole grieving process because my boy David Finlay lost on Saturday. I was gonna be up on here. I was gonna do a run-in to not only brag about the Lakers winning, I was gonna brag about David Finlay winning on Saturday. I was just gonna come up, be like boss dog, and just do all that, and then he lost. Great matchup though. Him and Goto tore it up in Ryogoku. So did Takeshita in Oiwa. But the biggest thing for me was Homie Hop and Sonata. This man has Stockholm syndrome. He went back to his abuser. He went back to someone who betrayed him in Your Boy Evil and joined the House of Torture. 4 factions in 2 years. That is homie hopping to the extreme.
Look, man, Sonata's got to get paid. Whoever's paying the most for his services, that's where he's going. You don't want to talk about Shota going for the title again?
No.
Come on.
Because Gato doesn't get it. We don't like him, yo. Like, why do you keep doing? Why do you keep putting him in these world title matches? And he had a good match with Tanahashi, but why did he he lost the New Japan Cup? Why does he deserve a world title match?
He shaved his head. It's a different man.
I think I'm still watching the Wrestle Kingdom's main event. It's still going on. I'm pretty sure 4 months later, it's still going on.
I know they released the card and like they listed Goto and Shota as the main event. Like, shouldn't Gabe Kidd and Ishii main event that show?
I think so. They're having a 30-minute Iron Man match. That should probably be the main event of the show. And NJPW Strong Openweight Championship is supposed to be the top title in the USA. So yeah, that would have made more sense. But IWGP is the biggest title in New Japan. So I understand that, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting how Chicago reacts to Shota Umino.
Yeah. I mean, they'll probably give him a decent reaction, but it doesn't scream like main event for a US show. Like Tanahashi and Takeshita feels
that
like
screams main event. Yeah, that was the. But they didn't. I think they dropped. Originally, it was advertised. I would have sworn I saw it advertised as a never openweight championship matchup, and then on commentary during Sakura Genesis, they said it's a non-title match.
Yeah, they released the card last night. Let me double check it, but I don't remember it saying that the never openweight title was going to be on the line. They're just billing it as, Tanahashi's final US match and everything. Yeah, it doesn't say the never title is going to be on the line. I mean, kind of feels like Tanahashi might win regardless, just because last time in the US, send the fans home happy with the Tanahashi victory, even though they're gonna trot out Goto and Shota afterwards. But so give the fans something big to cheer about with the Tanahashi victory, and not obviously take the never openweight title off of Takeshita. So we'll see if that changes. I still think Gabe Kidd and Ishii should close that show. That's a much stronger match than Goto and Shota.
Xeno Hour, if Shota wins on Friday, I'm taking away New Japan's crown as the best promotion in pro wrestling right now. It's officially done. It's officially over. I'm handing it over to WWE.
All right, SP3. All right. I got a big pitch for you here. Okay. You ready?
God, here we go.
You're going to love this. I promise you. Shota wins on Friday. And then Jon Moxley comes out. And we do Jon Moxley and Shota title for briefcase at Resurgence. Resurgence is the next show, right? Jon Moxley and Shota at Resurgence. Double briefcase champion Jon Moxley going into All In. He's got both titles going into All In. And then we do a triple threat match at All In. So we get the winner of the Owen, which might be Will Ospreay, don't know, maybe it's Hangman Page. And New Japan runs a tournament as well. And the winner of the New Japan tournament is...
Hi, guys!
Chris Jericho headlines AEW All In, and the winner take all triple threat against Ospreay / Hangman and double briefcase Moxley. What do you think?
I think that Jeremy Lambert doesn't really like me.
I feel like this is a good shit, pal.
I really think that Jeremy Lambert doesn't like me. So on that note, we will see you tomorrow on In the Weeds, 10 a.m. Eastern Time over on Fightful Overbook. Thank you for joining us for Main Channel Monday.
Everybody, we're back tomorrow, FightfulOverbook.com, 10 a.m. Eastern. Myself and SP3. We'll talk about Raw, the fallout from there, and any other news going on in the wrestling world. Appreciate everybody hanging out. SP3, let them know where you're also at besides this channel.
Follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. I will be live in about 5 minutes over on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel to further break down and review AEW Dynasty 2025. Myself, Jay News, and Professor Chris of the NWA podcast will be talking about the show. We'll be going a little bit more in depth on all the matches, all the big angles. So join us for that. And appreciate y'all for joining us on In the Weeds. And if you are just on the main channel, come join us on Fightful Overbooked. I am there every Tuesday and Thursday with Jeremy talking all things professional wrestling. And for any real In the Weeds fans, knows that Thursday is SP3 C-level WWE review day, and we got a lot to discuss. I got to watch LFG. I got to watch Evolve this week.
Talk to y'all tomorrow. Bye, everybody.